This is the plaintiff, Frederick Prevetti. He says the defendant, his ex-wife of 28 years, stole $93,243 of his $164,814 JetBlue frequent flyer points, which she had no right to do. When he asked her about it, she said, "Too bad, it's a family account." She has some nerve stealing his points. He's not about to let her get away with this and is suing her for $3,595.48, the value of the missing points. This is the defendant, Lucille Prevetti. She says the plaintiff is out to get her any way he can. This is just one more of his tactics. The points she used were to fly their son and his girlfriend on a vacation. Their family shared points in a family account. She's not paying him for them because they aren't just his, and she thinks the judge will agree. She's accused of flying kinda low. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $5,000 for money stolen and harassment.
All parties, please raise your right hand. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Leon is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Prevetti, you are suing your, I guess she's still your wife because you guys haven't finalized the divorce. Is that correct, Mr. Prevetti?
That is correct.
Okay, so you're suing your wife. So let's start with you, Mr. Prevetti. Tell me what happened here.
Okay, so my wife took the privileges of using JetBlue points, which were earned with a Barclays JetBlue credit card, of which I used. I had that card exclusively. We've been separated for a number of years now. I left the household in 2017, and we signed agreements in February of 19 with the judge and attorneys, and it's signed, and anything she earned and anything I earned was separated and apart. So I used this Barclays credit card exclusively. I issued one to my daughter, who lives in North Carolina, who was getting married that year, and I said I would pay the entire bill. Those cards earn points. Those points she could use as a wedding gift, to go on a honeymoon. And I made numerous
Did she
flights
already
down
get
there
married?
to help. Yes. So those points earned, a lot of them were earned in the year of 2019. So
how was she able to get access to them?
Okay. So my wife, being the attorney she is, and a family attorney no less, knows all the ins and outs. And during our negotiations, while I was out of the home for a number of years, I was followed by private eyes. I was tracked with my credit cards. And people wonder, how could she track your credit cards? Well, it's very easy. You have access to the pedigree. You have the date of birth. You have the social security number. You have addresses. You even have emails. Now, I can't be in her brain or in our household, but I will tell you this. She asked my daughter, Nicole, for the password to the Amazon account so she can get usage to free delivery. So
because they have the credit cards on file. I know this because I make my children, if they're going to buy something, they buy it from their allowance, and then all of a sudden I see they clicked my card, and then they tell me, it was a mistake. And so she bought something on your card, correct?
She had 2 or 3 items delivered to the house, which I left. She had 2 or 3 items, and she charged them to my card. And, that's deliberate.
When did she do that? What year?
That was 2019. It was 5 days after we signed the legal separation documents.
That was $77.19, correct? The Amazon
That's
purchases.
correct.
Okay. Now the points happened when? When did she cash in the points?
So according to JetBlue, she made 4 purchases during the year of 2019, all after we signed the separation agreement. She made all these purchases.
And now let me ask you, Ms. Prevetti, I want to turn the floor over to you. What's going on here? Because you guys have been separated for a good amount of time. And ironically, what is it you do for a living?
So, Judge, I am an attorney, which the
You're
plaintiff...
actually a divorce attorney.
I am. And it's very unfortunate, and it's very sad that almost a 30-year marriage, 4 children, the husband decides 3 years ago, so it's not that long ago, that he wants to up and leave, and that's fine. And it became a nightmare, a very ugly battle. He's a retired firefighter. He's healthier than I. He golfs 24/7, and I had to pay him a ton of money. Now, that may be irrelevant here. However, I want you to know he's not the victim as he's making himself out to be. But I'd like just to get to the issue, Judge. As a matter of law, I am a lawful owner on that JetBlue account. As a matter of fact, as per the letter I submitted to Your Honor from JetBlue, does Your Honor have that?
Let me make sure.
JetBlue verifies.
It's a family account. Nobody denied. But when did it become a family account?
Back in 2016.
This is while you were still together, correct?
Well,
That's
we
while
were
you were
still
together.
Correct. So
Okay,
I
hold
would
on.
say
Okay.
for 2016,
Hold on,
Your
hold
Honor,
on one second. Ms. Pervetti, he's suing you for 3 trips that were taken, all of them in 2019, after the separation agreement was entered into, okay? You dipped into the family account, and how many points did she use up?
93,243 points were redeemed for 3 trips.
Right.
In 2019.
So when you do that, when you dip in 2019 after you're separated and consume 93,000 points, that's what we're talking about. So tell me, why did you do that if you guys were already separated?
Judge, because 1, I was an owner.
'Cause you
2,
could?
Judge, number 2, I continued to use my JetBlue card. I was accumulating those points. He used the flights also. There is no determination that I was using his points, number 1.
Can
Number
I ask
2,
you? No,
Judge,
that's what I'm here
the
to
divorce
determine. That's what I'm here to
decree
determine.
does
Can
not-
I ask you something? There's no divorce decree. There's a separation agreement, and that's what I want to ask you about, particularly since you're a divorce attorney. Why are you guys not divorced? You can't stand each other. You feel that she's checking up on you. You feel that he dumped you after 30 years and 4 kids. Everybody's angry. Why aren't you guys divorced? What's the advantage
Your
to
Honor?
just being separated?
Your Honor, because of my wife's conditions and she needs health insurance, so that benefit of her having health insurance and my separation is the only reason we were able to move on. Without that,
That'll
we'd still be
teach ya.
fighting.
Because look at what she's doing. So it's for her benefit, and yet
Absolutely.
she dips into the joint points account,
Your Honor,
which you
please,
feel is
please.
at a minimum morally unfair, but you feel it's legally unfair.
I have to argue that he's suing me for about $3,400 for 93,000 points. I provided to the court a JetBlue advertisement that you can purchase 3,400 JetBlue points for $59. Now, there were promos.
Hold on one
where
second, because he has something from JetBlue giving a different amount, where they give it a value of $3.51 a point, or 1,000 points for $35.10. That's the figure. But let me ask you a couple of questions here, because I'm concerned. You know, you guys have this arrangement where it's really to your benefit because you need insurance for whatever health issues you have. I don't know why you don't just seek the...
Judge,
What do you
there was
mean?
a price tag on that health insurance. I paid a lot of money
Right.
for that health insurance.
What's your... Can I
wasn't-
just ask you guys a question? What's your plan? To stay married forever?
No.
When are you
Your
going to get a
Honor?
divorce?
He has a right to convert it after 3 years, or we can remain lawfully married for 100 years. As Your Honor knows,
Okay.
it just means we can't remarry. There's nothing untoward about that. But in my
No,
negotiations,
it's just odd though. Where I don't. There's nothing untoward about that. The odd part, and this is a rarity for me, what I'm seeing is 2 people who have such an acrimonious relationship where it's really bad. You guys really detest each other, and then you stay married and you stay with a joint bank account and you stay with a joint JetBlue account. I don't understand how everybody didn't figure this out, sit down, take inventory of their lives, and separate things. This is a joint account. So no, you didn't. You had a family points account. You missed that one. And so when I look at the separation agreement, this account is another marital asset, which you may be able to wipe it clean, but you don't have a right to wipe it clean. It's half and half. So you explain to me how at a minimum you don't owe him half that money when you took it all for your own uses. How do you figure that you don't owe him at least half of it?
Judge, I did not take it all. There were 200,000 points. I don't know how many.
I mean half of the 93,000. I mean half of the 93,000. Why wouldn't you at least owe half of the 93,000 if it's a marital asset that hasn't been divided?
But then, Judge, we need to analyze in 2018 and 2019 how many points he utilized on flights.
Oh, hell no. I'm not going to do that. It's a marital asset, and I'm going to divide it equally, which means that when each of you dip into the till, each of you owe the other person money. So you dipped into the till, and that is valued by these folks at $3,500. So we are going to divide that, and I'm going to order you to pay half of it. And now I am asking you about the Amazon account. You charged $77.19. What is your defense to that?
He was paid. He sent me a text
By
that
whom?
I had 24. He sent me a text that I had 24 hours, and I put the $77 in cash, gave it to my youngest son as per the plaintiff's instructions, and paid him. Judge, if I could just go back to
did your son give you the money?
Your Honor, that never happened. That never happened.
Let me ask you a question. In this incredibly acrimonious separation that you folks have had, have people been calling the police on each other as well?
No.
Tell me about that.
Plaintiff's been calling police on me. The only time I called the police once, Your Honor, was when he attempted to come in my home that was no longer his, and he set the alarm off. Otherwise, it's only the plaintiff who called the police, attempted to have me arrested 5 times. All 5 times there was no criminality, and he's even gone to the extent, and I've sent you a copy of his email, he's even gone to the extent of contacting the grievance committee because I'm such a bad person.
To get you disbarred?
For the bar, that I should be disbarred. Judge, I need one more second. This is not an acrimonious relationship. He left, we dealt with it. He made it ugly. I don't know why he's so angry at me.
Welcome back to the People's Court. I'm Harvey Levin. These litigants are still married and still fighting over frequent flyer miles. Somebody's headed for a rough landing. Let's watch as the judge decides.
Let me ask you a question also. You have part of your counterclaim, you've got a $3,500, according to you, he dipped into a joint account and took out $3,500. Tell me about that.
So, Judge, similar to the JetBlue joint account, I still maintained a joint checking account. Foolish, but I kept it in effect because I had 4,000 pre-printed customized checks to use. He told me, you keep your account, the joint, and I could use my checks. He was establishing his own account. For 2 years, Your Honor, he never went into that account, nothing. Now we're in the midst of litigation. In May of 2018, I get emails, you're bouncing checks. I look, I call him up, what are you doing? Of course I got, take a walk. My name's still on it. So.
Okay, so on May of 2018, but that is a date that is before February of 2019. So why are you suing for that now when that should have been encompassed in the February 2019 separation agreement?
For the same reason with JetBlue, Your Honor. I didn't raise it.
No, but it's not the same reason. The JetBlue stuff happened after the separation agreement.
Okay, but Your Honor, that JetBlue stuff.
Tell me about Ms. Privetti. I'm asking Ms. Privetti.
You're assuming.
No, I'm assuming it's both of yours. No,
okay,
no.
But Your Honor,
the JetBlue, you know what the JetBlue account is? Stop talking. Stop talking. I can't establish a value. And I'm establishing it from the JetBlue email. And I am, Ms. Privetti, stop barking and listen to me. If you think that because of the shenanigans that are going on here, that I am going to take the time to split hairs and figure out the exact value of each share at the exact time that you use them, you are out of your mind. I am very content with the November 2019 setting of the value by JetBlue.
But you have
Yours comes February 2020, a year later, when it's already starting to get devalued and we are on the brink of COVID. No. Okay? So I am setting it at the amount I said, and that's it. The next question is, who do those points belong to? If you think that I'm going to sit here and separate the pots and pans of your commingled lives, you are out of your mind. This is, for all intents and purposes, an unaccounted for marital asset. And therefore, I am going to divide it. And when I divide it, it would mean that one of you has to pay the other. The person who took it all without dividing it needs to pay the other. So on the plaintiff's lawsuit against the defendant, I am ruling in his favor in the amount of $1,836.19. Now, on the defendant's lawsuit against the plaintiff, can I ask you a question? Did you actually try to get your wife, the mother of your 4 children, your partner of 30 years, disbarred? Did you try to mess with her meal ticket?
Okay, Your Honor, why would I do that when the woman owes me over $700,000, which she has to pay me in the next 3 years? Getting her disbarred would not help me in that matter. And factually,
you tell me how you look me in the eye, Mr. Pravetti, and tell me that you would never mess with her meal ticket because she is the mother of your children and owes you $700 and $1,000. And I am making you aware, and of course this email is going to my attorney also. I have already filed a complaint with the grievance committee. This is your email to her on July 11th, 2018.
Your Honor.
And sent the letter to the New York Bar regarding your acts of violence against me and impersonating me regarding my World Trade Center's Victims Compensation Fund Award, and lastly, signing my name to a Bank of America account. I got an answer back from the Bar Association already, grievance committee, and I need to go and file a report with the Nassau County Police. This is your email to her. Does that sound familiar?
Your Honor, that is correct. That is my email, but you're misinterpreting what's going on here.
Did you in fact file a grievance? Did you in fact file a grievance like you said in the email?
Your Honor, she broke the law, and
yes or no? Did you in fact file? All I asked you was, did you file a grievance? Did you? Yes or no?
Your Honor, the woman admitted to me that she tried to manipulate the system.
I'm going to need you. I am going to need you to stop talking, and I'm going to need her to stop talking.
Of course.
Mr. Pravetti, you have a lawsuit against her for 2 things, for the JetBlue points plus for the Amazon purchases. She cannot have a possible defense of, I gave the money to my son, and then nothing from the son saying, hey, I gave the money to my dad. So as far as I'm concerned, she has no proof that she paid that. So I am going to order her to pay the $77.19 of the Amazon purchases, and as far as the JetBlue points are concerned, for the reasons I have already gone over, that is a joint marital asset because you guys are still married. If there had been a divorce, it would be different. So $1,759, which is half of the value that I find for the points that she ended up taking. Half of that rightfully belongs to you. So in your lawsuit against her, I find in your favor in the amount of $1,836.19. Ms. Pravetti, you have a claim against him for $5,000. $3,500 of it is for money taken out of a bank account. That $3,500 that was money that was taken out of a joint account that you feel was inappropriate all happened almost a year before the signing of the separation agreement, which means it is something that under the separation agreement has already been taken into account in the separation agreement. You as a divorce attorney, you of all people should know that that is not, if it happened before the separation agreement, is not something that you can complain about now in another lawsuit. And the $1,500 for harassment, when you're talking about all the things that happened, including the attempt to file a grievance or the grievance that he filed against you, which was ended up being found unfounded, that is also something that happened beforehand. So these are not things that you can now bring up after the separation agreement. You can't bring up things that happened before the separation agreement.
Behavior.
Stop talking. Stop talking. So therefore, on your counterclaim against him, 0, and on his claim against you, $1,836.19, verdict for the plaintiff.
Well, in this nightmare of a marriage, the plaintiff prevails, $1,800. Let's talk to Mrs. Perfetti and see what she thinks about that. Ma'am, you had a rough go with the judge. What's your reaction to the verdict?
He's greedy and he's living off my dime. So good riddance to him. He should walk into his country club with his head up high.
Okay. Well, you got to pay him the money. I know you're not happy about that. Mr. Perfetti, let me ask you, what's your opinion of the judge's verdict? I'm sure you're somewhat happy. You didn't get everything.
Well, I guess we would have to be happy. I guess it'd have to be a fair opinion because we're both unhappy.
What's going to happen? I mean, you're living in a nightmare with your still wife.
Believe me, it's a better nightmare now away from her than it was living with her.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I must tell you, I feel sorry for both of you.
Wow, a lot of acrimony in this case. They say in family court, you see good people at their worst sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And in this instance, honestly, it took me back to when I was in family court and was basically...
And the light left your eye.
Basically. And... but at the end of the day, you sorted this out, and you found that the frequent flyer miles were marital property from an intact marriage, effectively. They have this separation agreement, but they're married.
Yeah, they're still married. But, you know, you would think that for the sake of the children, because even if they're not small children, it's still painful. I mean, I always, when I see these cases, I say to myself, I look at you, and I say to myself, is there anything he could do that could make me hate you this hard?
Right.
And I don't want to tell you because I don't want to give you a free pass or anything, but I'm just in my head, the person you bring 3 children into the world with, the person you spend 30 years next to, how can you not have some affection and not, it's just amazing to me how nasty these divorce cases can become. And I remember, how long were you in divorce court?
About 3 years.
And honestly, I thought you were going to just jump. Oh. You were so miserable. What was the worst part about divorce court for you?
Honestly, I think it was probably the divorces and paternity cases where people were fighting about the children to the point of how a child's hair should be cut, what kind of dress a child should wear to a communion or to our...
Wait a minute, that's important, what dress you wear to a
bar mitzvah.
You're making it sound like it's not important. That's kind of...
yeah, well, it's not worth fighting over.
No, it's not worth dragging a judge into, but yeah.
And you got to admit, they're paying a very heavy price right now for sustaining the health insurance. My goodness.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a bad idea between 2 people who are not happy with each other.
I'll say.
Bonnie, I got to tell you, this is a really important question. The simple answer is yes. A store can keep somebody out if they are not wearing a mask. There is a big overriding principle here. The only exception might be somebody with a disability where they can't wear a mask. But even then, I think a judge might say that the pandemic overrides that individual concern and the individual should send somebody to the store. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.